This is your Peace News for Wednesday, May 15th, 2013. Silver is trading at $23 per ounce. Bitcoin is trading at $115 per Bitcoin. 18-year-old Sarah McKinley was home alone with her 3-month-old son. Her husband died of cancer just 3 months ago on Christmas Day. She heard the sounds of 2 men going around her house, trying to break down the locked doors. Thinking quickly, she grabbed a pistol and her 12-gauge and called 911. The police were dispatched, but as is all too common, they didn't arrive in time. McKinley waited until the first of the 2 men stepped inside her home. He was carrying a 12-inch knife. She fired 1 blast from her shotgun, and he was dead in the doorway. The second man behind him surrendered immediately and turned himself in. 18-year-old McKinley shows why it is important to take personal responsibility for your safety. Had she been unarmed, she could be dead, and her newborn son would have been orphaned in the minutes they waited for police to arrive. Every person has an inherent right to be safe from intruders in his or her home. It's up to you to decide how to protect yourself. And Robin Hood of Keene is making national headlines this week. Several stations, including CBS and Fox Boston, have brought camera crews out to interview the townsfolk and learn more about the situation. The city of Keene is suing Robin Hood, claiming that his activities somehow threaten the safety of parking enforcement officers. Keene bureaucrats say the lawsuit is not about lost revenue from all the potential parking tickets. Rather, they fear someone is going to get hurt. Somehow, feeding parking meters creates, quote, a very unsafe situation. That, according to Keene city manager and inspiration behind the lawsuit, John McLean. He calls Robin Hooding, quote, harassing behavior. Although the bureaucrats repeatedly claim that feeding parking meters is harassment and have even paid an ex-police chief over $1,000 to follow the Robin Hooders around with a camera, curiously, no criminal charges have been brought against Robin Hood. But instead, what we see are civil charges. In other words, the city is trying to make Robin Hood stop feeding parking meters. If Robin Hood is breaking the law, bring forward criminal charges and evidence. If not, leave Robin Hood alone. Are you tired of the US government killing people around the world? Are you tired of having to pay for their murderous rampage? Are you tired of feeling helpless to do anything about it? Well, now there's something you can do. It's called Bitcoin. Bitcoin is money that is impossible for the government to control. Bitcoin is impossible to be counterfeited or inflated. Bitcoin is simply a peer-to-peer protocol, so it is impossible for anyone to shut it down, block it, or control it in any way. If you want to see an end to the government inflating the dollar to pay for murder, then you need to start using Bitcoin today. To learn how, visit weusecoins.com. Have you ever been curious if the government can read your text messages? Well, America, you just got your answer. The American Civil Liberties Union filed a Freedom of Information Act request to the Justice Department. What they got back was 15 pages of black ink. Literally, the documents were completely redacted. The so-called most transparent administration in history might as well have responded with a fax of their middle fingers. The message is exactly the same. This news comes not a week after the ACLU learned that the FBI has been reading your emails without obtaining a warrant. And in the same week, the same government admitted to months of warrantless spying on private phone calls of journalists at the Associated Press. The same government that's targeting conservatives and Tea Party activists for IRS audits. By now it should be clear, the government has no respect for you or your privacy. Thank goodness, as technology improves and government struggles to keep up, you, the individual, holds a temporary advantage over the state. If you use an Android phone, for example, you can download a free app called TextSecure, which allows you to encrypt your texts so that government agents can't read them. There's also a free app for Android called RedPhone that works the same way, but for phone calls instead of texts. Sorry, iPhone users, Apple doesn't respect your privacy either. These apps only work on the Android phones. To protect your email, you can use free software to encrypt your communication. Links in the show notes. This has been Peace News, your daily update on the peaceful evolution. Get more Peace News on the next news network, and for daily videos, subscribe at youtube.com/peacenewsnow. For peacenewsnow.com, I'm Derek J, reminding you that peace is the way.